So a couple days ago, I talked about wanting to short shitcoins, basically trying to find any shitcoins that looked like they were ready to go down because Bitcoin dominance has been going up lately. It seems pretty bottomed, and generally have an inverse correlation where when Bitcoin starts to go up, altcoins are going to go down. So the two that I was looking at were Luna and Tomo, and I decided to go with Luna, and I wanted to talk a little about my choice with that. Looking at this daily, you have some pretty easy to define supports, right? So this red at 550, you have the bottom of these candles, the bottom of this whole range here, and the top is just one big lower high. So seeing a lower high, seeing that this support is getting destroyed, and then this breaking down through that, and then actually losing even the bottom of these wicks, coming completely back up to retest this previous support as a resistance, and then starting to fade down. That's when I decided it was a good time to enter a short, and I got in about here. But as you can see, the sort of descending wedge here held up, and this is across the board with a lot of alts. With Bitcoin bouncing today, it's dragging alts up with it, but because the dominance is still rising for Bitcoin, I don't suspect that altcoins will really hold up. What you're looking at when you see something like this, just following the basic price action, the reason that I closed my short down here somewhere is because even though I believe this will go down, ultimately these descending wedges tend to break down. I didn't want to have a full retrace and get caught up here. So for now, I've closed this out. And even though if you look at reversion to mean, the kind of average of the price is just heading down, the local macro trend is down, I don't want to be riding out all the roller coaster sorts of moves in a leverage position. So on the off chance that this were to break, I would assume that, like this wick here, it would probably be a false breakout. I think that this resistance will hold, this resistance block will probably hold, and my target is going to be the bottom of this formation on the daily. That's what I'm aiming for, but for now, I really just consider any bounce a chance to enter another short at a higher level, rather than riding out one short through this whole wasted zone. And a lot of alts are looking like this right now. Something I'm kind of scared of with alts when they have setups that I don't like. Right now, I don't want RSI that's absolutely eaten shit, right? I don't want it to be already bottomed out. It needs to have some kind of room to move down. So when I was looking at this for an entry, you can see it had plenty of room to move down, and it still does. The more this kind of ranges and takes its time, as you can see, this kind of RSI is rising. The more it does that, the more this RSI can kind of move toward the middle, which just gives it a better window to move down. So not really scared of this right now. Tomo, the other thing I was looking at, had probably a better setup. The RSI was kind of toward the middle, and it had a lot more room to move down. The reason I didn't choose to short this was because if you look at its average price action, it is moving up. And even though I was looking at this when it was at this resistance point above these touches here, even though that would have been a wonderful place to short it, I chose not to because it is kind of moving up, and because this at the time had taken the RSI midpoint. So I really felt that this was going to break down, largely because of this being such a huge move up with no correction whatsoever, straight into resistance, and that would have been a great short. But right now what we're seeing is this double bottom. Typically, if you see a double bottom, you would expect some kind of W formation breakout, right? Something like this if you are going to have a true bullish market. But I don't believe that alts are going to be in a bullish market anytime soon. So for something like this, you're going above the EMA, below it, above it, below it. It's got to give somewhere, right? And this RSI has been rising, the price has been rising to match it, but you can see, if you just imagine, how far would this have to go to be overbought? Not very far, maybe like here, right? Maybe to something like this kind of zone. If you really wanted to look at where would this be overbought, probably around here. Maybe you could include the bottoms of these or something like that. And then what? You're going to come back down and retest this, something like that. Don't have any interest in waiting all that time for that. If I'm going to open a leverage position, I want it to pay out basically that day. I don't want to wait around for it. But if you look at this price action, you can see pretty simply that you have this, you can call it a broadening wedge, you can call it a megaphone, whatever you want to call it. I'm mostly interested in this bottom line that we just drew. If you kind of connect the candle bottoms together, you can see that this is kind of broken down already. So not only did we get rejected off of resistance and then retest it underneath as resistance, we lost this support, teleported all the way down to this one, wicked completely down to here, you know, this sort of level, and then had kind of a weak rally. This rally didn't even get to this resistance, it didn't get to the EMA. So my assumption right now would be that unless Bitcoin really pumps and drags alts with it, probably this resistance will hold. And, you know, you might have some kind of sloppy nonsense here. You might even get a sort of double top and down, but I do expect it to break down. The question is just when. So if you are on this sort of downtrend, especially you're toward what's probably the bottom at a support, you don't want to like short a support, you want to short resistances. So you're going to be looking for this either here or here to reject, not just to get to it. That's what a lot of people do, where they mess up. They think, okay, this is going to reverse, and they'll do something, you know, especially in a bull market, this is a very bad idea. So you take something like this and they'll think, okay, it hit resistance, I'm going to short now. And then, okay, if you're really quick, maybe it pays out. But if you're sleeping on this a little bit, it just goes through. So what you want to do is make sure that the reversal is there. Make sure that that support or that resistance is truly breaking down. I would say that usually you don't want to short the day after it touches. You want to kind of give it 2 days or even 3 days to see what's going to happen. I'm a hypocrite, of course I don't do that, but I'm much more confident than I probably should be. So when you see something that seems to be shaping up to get rejected, I think the fact that this didn't even make it to resistance is a good sign that it's probably rejecting. You can kind of even make a little line right here if you wanted, where, you know, we could just move this down a bit and it kind of lines up. Remember, these are not exact points. This is always just sort of a quantum cloud, right? When you draw a support or resistance line, people like to think of this as being 1.6046, but what we're actually drawing when we draw a line for support or resistance is kind of a cloud, you know, it's a zone. We just kind of draw that for everything. So we're looking for something like this to confirm, you know, we want like a day or two of red. And if this rejects here, this has already held twice, it's wicked very deeply. It's probably not going to hold 3 times, right? Once you hit this, you have all these buy orders, right? You've got all these buy orders here, and we ate a lot of them. And then we shot off, and now we're back. How many buy orders are left? well, you know, say we ate half of them here and we ate another 25% of them here or something. Eventually, you run out of those buy orders and this will fail. It doesn't matter if you do something like this, excuse me, not that, or whatever, but if you keep riding that support, it's going to fail. So I expect this, whether it goes here and down or whether it goes all the way up and back down, if we get back to this point, it's gonna fail. So your question is really just, where is it going to fail to? And this would be my first target for this. I really think Tomo's headed toward 125. It's just a question of where do you want to support this short? Do you want to look for support for a short, you know, like right at resistance, or do you want to look for it around here? And that's just up to you as a trader what your risk assessment is. Personally, I just like to look for something like this where the bulls really tried and then failed. You know, if you have a candle like this, like where we are now, the bears tried to dump this, the bulls really fought back all the way 2 supports up. In the next day, they push it back to that support. After all that work, if they then start to fail, they fucked. You know, they're fucked. They're not going to get it. It's just not going to happen. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking for when I go into a short. I want to see support that flips resistance and gets retested, like this is being retested right now. I'm losing bitrate. Oh no. Come on, stream, you can do it. Come on, Twitch, baby. Okay, 1 second. Here we go. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're very blurry, but we're back. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to see a support turn into resistance and get retested as it is here. And I could probably zoom in on this a little for us. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I have a brain. It works sometimes. This gets turned into resistance. The bulls really push back, paint some green on there, and then ultimately get rejected the next day anyway, or the next couple days. That looks so bad for the bulls. This looks terrible. For the bulls to kind of negate this candle, they need to take this support like now, or at least tomorrow. They need to take this support and they need to take it pretty handily. They need to erase most of this move down. If the bulls just come in tomorrow and they post like a little candle, right? Or they post some shitty little doji, it's not going to look good. I still think that will be like, at best, maybe they close something around here and then down. So, of course, this is invalid. If the bulls blast pass and then retest as support, and, you know, then I don't want that. I want something like this that we have now, that tomorrow they post some red. That would be ideal. If you're looking for shorts, there's no reason to run into it at support. And even if you're resistance, you know, like if you saw this come to resistance on this day and you just immediately ran for the short, you either got stopped out or spent 2 days shitting your pants and then another day coming back to break even. So there's no reason to rush into this until you have something like this, where you see the bulls really tried and then they're in the process of getting fucking deleted. That's what you want. Okay, I've talked about that for a long time. On the case of alts, if you look at Ethereum, it's pretty plain to see, right? You have the top of this over here, top of this here. You've got the bottoms of this, the bottom of this wick. And then you've got this disgusting mall doji where the top of it is at this support around 1950. And bears really painted some red there. Bulls tried to come back in. This is like the weekly support. I think, is that right? Am I lying to you right now? Weekly support. Yes, this is a weekly support. We'll make it purple because that's beautiful. And if you look at where this weekly support is, we wick directly to it. What that tells me is that, for one, these bulls have a lot of work to do. If the bulls can't take 2135, this level here, all this resistance, all this support, supporting here, close enough to call support here, supporting here, and then broken, right? If the bulls can't take this level, they're fucked. That's just the short of it. Oh, don't message me. What the fuck is that? Bye, sorry. But we have this parabolic downturn into, I've got it open 1,000 places. Okay. Oh my god, no. No, leave me alone. not, not like this. Not like this, fuck. Okay, 1 second, we'll kill this dude. I don't know where it's open, I'm gonna close everything. Bye. And I can't close everything because I've got music. I don't know where that's even coming from, I'm so sorry. Anyway, you had this parabolic downturn into basically oversold. That's not where you want to be shorting. This into like parabolic downturn, almost oversold, weekly support. Of course you're going to get a bounce there. Anyone who's trading technicals is going to buy that. It's brain dead. It's of course you're going to bounce there. The question isn't, are we going to show some green? The question is, how much green are we going to show? And you might even come up to something around here, you know, sort of the bottoms of these, the top of this. You can make an argument that that's where our resistance really is, something like that. I am so sorry, I hit that button all the time. I'm new, guys. I'm learning. I'm going to get better. Going to get more concise. But to imagine, this is daily and weekly range, right? If you turn this into a resistance, if we come up somewhere around here and we can't pretty much like V reverse, then whatever we end up at, if it rejects, we're not going to hold this magic like middle of nowhere. Like, what is that? The top of this? That's bullshit. That's nothing. That's just daily nothing. So if we reject again, we're definitely headed to the weekly. And yes, we'll probably see some kind of bounce from the weekly. Whether that puts in a double top, whether that just comes here, we're probably going to see support from the weekly. Because it's the weekly, and every technical trader believes in voodoo, and they're going to trade the weekly. They're just going to buy it. At that point, you know, you're better off longing a weekly support than you are shorting a daily resistance. But if the weekly fails, then really this is what I'm aiming for down here, this green zone. I think that we're a little overheated on the shorts, but that's the momentum play, right? It doesn't take too much to see that anyone calling this like a bull market just because of, you know, all of this stuff. I mean, that's great that you're like optimistic, but the local trend on high time frame, you know, it's down. You basically had a double top here and then down, and it's nowhere near, right? Like, this is a slight, we can see if we zoom in, this is a slight like lower high. If you want to look closely at this, you can see lower high, and technically you're looking at wicks, you had a higher low. So I think a lot of people got hope off of this higher low, but then for the high off of that to just establish this as a resistance and get rejected, this 2600, really, you know, all the bottoms of these and the tops of this. So it really made an attempt to establish this support, but it just tested it as resistance, and shit itself. Absolutely shit itself. So you can be bullish on this if you want, of course, just because of the macro, like months and months behind us, naturally. But you have to understand that shit reverses, markets have cycles. This whole bullish process, for the most part, is in the top of the RSI. That's why I mark the halfway point. You have almost all of this section, this bullish section, is in the top half of the RSI. You have very little that corresponds to being in the bottom half of this RSI. And it's just like a couple little dips. And see, it's very brief as well. So for us to now be, and of course that's in an uptrend. Very important to notice that that's in an uptrend. So there's nothing that really says to me that this is still bullish. I think people want to believe, well, yeah, we're in the bottom half, but we're still in the uptrend. I would argue very simply, if you take a look at this, like how far did we really go down? Like this was the lowest point, and we've been below that twice already. We're pretty well below that now on RSI. So I don't think you can make much of a bullish case. I think your bias here has to be bearish until proven otherwise. And I would not be at all surprised to see this become like our new chop zone. Just you have this kind of price action might be very much on the table. So I'm looking for, maybe greedily, but I'm looking for 1400 here. That's what I think Ethereum is going to pull. I'm not looking to leverage it right now unless, again, we get some kind of really pitiful move by the bulls that rejects here or here. If we shit our pants there, then yeah, I want to short. I don't think this is going to hold. Even though it's a weekly, I really don't think it's going to hold, even if we, you know, bounce off of it somehow. This is my target. That's where we're going to go. So, quick look at DOGE. It's just looks like dog shit, not even like a pun. It just looks like fucking bullshit. So I painted this before, and I called this the God line. This is one of those charts where, you know, at this point we can delete this line. We don't even need this. It's a nice, pretty line because it catches the bottom of this, and you can really see this is sort of your early warning system. If you were looking for a reversal, you know, this was your last chance, but this was your early warning ejection system where, you know, even if you think it's going to bounce, you just sell when this breaks and then buy back when it holds, if it holds, but it didn't. So you get out a little bit early, and, you know, if it comes back, then whatever, you just rebuy it and it goes up. But early warning system, complete failure, didn't even like retest it. And then the do or die line just absolutely obliterated. I mean, this isn't even coming back for like a retest. It's like maybe the bottom of this sort of wick area is retesting that as resistance right now. But I wouldn't even mark that. I think it's just nothing. I think this is, it's bouncing because it's oversold and it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, if you look at where does this actually have a chance of bouncing, like maybe at best you could mark something like the tops of the sort of around, like I said, you got to consider these lines kind of a zone. But really, I mean, you're looking at something through here, perhaps. That's like the first real situation where this has a confirmed support. And that's a long way down, guys. That's a long fucking way down. So I don't know why you would want to play Doge, regardless of RSI, regardless of EMA, MACD cross, anything like that. It doesn't matter. There's nothing down here. We have all kinds of confirmed levels up here. There are so many places you can draw lines up here that make sense, you know, and just like nothing really matters here. Okay, so unless you want to mark something like this, that's your only argument. That's bull's only argument. You're oversold and you're hitting a little confluence with this wick, these wick bottoms. And I don't think that's much of an argument. I think, sure, maybe you get like a little bounce, and that probably takes you to like midpoint RSI, and then you shit yourself back into oversold like really hard. I don't think this just blasts off. Like when you have this sort of red candle, oh, I'm buffering again. When you have this sort of red candle, you expect the bulls to really like fight back. But what you want to see, do we have a good example? Yes. What you want to see is something like this. Just change the colors, right? So, or this is a good example. when you have a big nuke down, if the bulls are going to try and take control, they need, it's called the bullish engulfing, because the size of the following candle is bigger than the size of the red candle you posted. And for this to have some kind of bullish engulfing, you know, you need tomorrow's candle to basically take resistance. I mean, it's not even good enough, in my opinion, to come and like get rejected a little bit off resistance, unless, what would you say, 1, 2, 3, in like 3 to 4 days, if we don't break this resistance on Doge in like 3 to 4 days, absolutely just carnage. And this looks pathetic. To close this candle body at the same point of this wick, you have a real potential for a new resistance here, and it's shaping up to be this zone right now. Doesn't necessarily mean that that will happen, but it looks bad. It just looks bad to have this many hits on your support and then that support to fail very catastrophically, and so many people holding this just being like young, inexperienced traders who can't hold for shit. You know, they're going to be terrified. They're not like, you know, GME diamond hands people. These are people who are like 14 years old. Like literally we make fun of each other and call each other like 12, like CL says he's 12 years old or whatever. Starburst, what's his fucking Inverse Bra says, you know, he's like only lives for 2 weeks or whatever. Shut the fuck up. But like, jokes aside, Doge holders really are like college kids and shit who have no experience trading, don't know what to do during market downturns. They're all holding spot. They don't know how leverage trading works. They don't know how like fundamentals work. They don't know how market caps work. So this is just like, people see the price go down, they're going to sell. Like the lower the price goes, the more likely they are to sell because they're inexperienced traders. So, you know, that's why you see shit like this where price goes up and then they tell all their friends, so the price goes up, and then they like tell their friends and make TikTok and price goes up. And then market makers who know how shit works and could see that the market was reversing, they start to take profit. And now, the lower this shit goes toward where people bought in, I think the faster it will go down. You know, a lot of people bought in here. A lot of people bought this accumulation, and now you have what's probably a distribution back down. I don't know where that's coming from. Next time I stream, I'm going to make sure there is no shit open. I'm so sorry. But once this accumulation spot fails, and people are in the negative for the first time, like, it's inconceivable to them right now that they could ever lose money on Doge because they've only seen it go up. People who bought like here and they've only seen it go up. They're new to crypto. It's the first crypto they bought. It's the only crypto they bought. Fuck off, bro. I don't... I can't find it. I'm so sorry. I can't find it. It's like, don't even... I'm not messaging back. Leave me alone. But yeah, once the accumulation window fails and people see losses for the first time, go and fuck yourself, bro. They'll probably be more likely to sell off hard. So you see this with ETH, yeah, where just kind of have this sort of triangle play that breaks down, and I think it's going to keep breaking down. You see the same sort of thing on Doge, much more pronounced. Your inverted triangle tends to break down. I mean, like, this was so obvious. Like, I don't know how you would want to sell that. But this is definitely not the kind of formation that breaks down and then just bounces right the fuck back up. Market makers are not interested in Doge. Like, that's a hot take, I guess, in crypto. You have like Elon and shit always talking about Doge, but you're not gonna get me. So not to like stroke my own cock there, but you're not gonna get like Kobe and, you know, whatever, buying 500 million in Doge. Like, Sailor's not going to come in and buy Doge. Elon can manipulate it as much as he wants, but I don't, you know, he's obviously not actually buying any. If Elon were coming in buying Doge, you know, this candle would be just straight the fuck up. It wouldn't be this little bitch accumulation zone, you know, where the price just stays down. That's not like a billionaire is buying Doge. You know, he's just memeing. He's not in this. He doesn't have any skin in this game. That's why he thinks it's so funny. But people are going to get fucked on this. They're going to get a lot of loss. This is not going to just... You don't get this kind of breakdown from a descending triangle that loses support and then just go back up immediately. You know, maybe best case scenario, you range around and then go up. But no, I wouldn't, absolutely wouldn't touch this shit. I have like a little bit of Doge that I bought like here at this support just in case, you know, and I'm just ignoring it. I don't care. It's like no money to me. I don't care about it. But I wouldn't seriously buy anything to do with Doge. Let's look at our Bitcoin and then we'll be done for the night. So this is my infamous plan. I have to adjust everything just a little bit. 1 day resistance. Okay, so the thing with this, man, this looks stupid. It's like a terrible chart. You can look at, I should just get a line to it. You can look at like the bottoms of this sort of candles, and it's pretty easy to see. Lower low after lower low. 4 in a row, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the upside, what have you really got? You have a double top, which is bearish. And then you have like the bulls go, okay, we're gonna do it, we're gonna really go for it and put in a higher high, and then they don't. They just get fucking rejected. And if you really come in and look at this, like, what did the bulls do since this rejection? They tried so hard to save this support here, and all they could do was get the shittiest green doji of all time. Didn't even get a wick above the previous day. And this is just an entire week of straight down, and this was the best the bulls could do. And people are actually bullish about this. I don't understand. Like, I know Bitcoin dominance is rising. I know that you're coming into a weekly support down here. I am going to lose my fucking mind. I'm sorry. About no one ever messages me. No one gives a shit. No one wants to talk to me. And I try to stream for 40 minutes and talk about some shit coins, and someone decides that they want to send me some messages in 2-word format. I can't write a fucking paragraph, and I'm 8,000 years old, so I can't find the fucking message. Oh, here it is. I found it. I found it. Goodbye. Okay. Deep breath. Deep breath. Calm down. So, you have, if you really want to look at this closely, you come in on like this and you go, yeah, we got a higher high. But you can look at the candle bodies. Yeah, we got a higher high. Okay, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 lower lows. Now you're gonna call 4 lower lows like bullish. Just no. Not in any universe. 4 lower lows off of rejection at resistance. Your third rejection. I mean, this is all rejections off of this resistance. Not only are you getting rejected at the same point, but when you get rejected, you're completely failing to maintain support. So as I was talking about in the very beginning, when I was talking about, I think it was Tomo, every time you hit support or resistance, here you have a bunch of sell orders, and down here you have a bunch of buy orders. So the more we hit this resistance, the more of those sell orders get eaten. The more we hit support, the more of the buy orders get eaten. So that's why you really have this fight here. And people who are bullish believe that there are not that many people who want to sell here. And I think that's pretty true for retail. No one who bought Bitcoin at $60,000 wants to sell it at $40,000. It's just the idea that they have no choice. So they're afraid that if they don't sell it on one of these bounces, that they're just going to have to sell it lower. And with all the bad news coming out of China, I hate to say China FUD because that's really done to death and never been true before. But it really is true right now that you're going to have this setting pressure as mines and pools get shut down in China. So what we're seeing now with this close below, even though bulls are making this attempt to reclaim the support, they've had 2 days to kind of get back up here, and they haven't done it yet. What I'd be looking for in the short term is this dotted line here, this 35.5. At 35.5, they really need to take, you can see exactly where this is. Bulls need this, like that's it. If bulls can't in the next couple days at least get above this, then they're fucked. And I think not only do they need to get above it, but they need to hold it. Because you can see the buy orders have been destroyed. The fact that you got this far down, the fact that we're idling in support right now, there are not enough buy orders to shove this up. You need people to come in and buy spot. And people who leverage, they do not affect the price going up or down. People buying spot is what pushes the price. All the limit orders that were on the books, they're gone now, right? All the limit orders that were here, they've been filled. You have to have people coming in ready to make market orders to push this up. And you have to have people willing to make those market orders enough to keep you off of this support. It's not enough to just come up and do some shit like this, because we already see those limit orders are gone. You need a lot of market buying to push this up and to keep it up. Even if that happens, and we come up to here again, and we're not successful in breaking that resistance, I think that's good game. If you come all the way back up from this support again, hit this resistance again, and there are enough sell orders to push you down, we already know there aren't enough buy orders to hold this. But if there are enough sell orders, then the market's bearish. People are interested in selling more than they're interested in buying. And probably if we come back to this point from wherever, it doesn't matter up here or down here or wherever, we come back to this point again, all the people who are interested in buying have already bought. I think we're pretty much just going to teleport through this. And we kind of already did. What this shows us is that people are interested in buying here, not here. People are interested in buying the weekly support, not the daily. So, even though we had a couple nice days of green, even though the bulls fought back a bit here, it's not enough. Like we were talking about engulfing, there's no bullish engulfing that's going to happen here. After what, 8 or 9 days, you just have the shittiest doji in the world, and then a fight back that's not even able to take the support block yet. That looks like dog shit, man. There's no fucking way that I would be long on this. I might be wrong, but generally speaking, when you're in the bottom half of the RSI, you're bearish. When you're in the top half, you're bullish. We kind of looked at this for Ethereum too. I mean, the whole bull market, you're in the top half, right? And then you can see where it changed right about here. Boom. Right about here, we spend the majority of our time in the bottom half. And of course, It's easy, right? You just draw a line at 50, and if you spend most of your time in the bottom half, well, you're fucking bearish. So until we swing up to that top side of the RSI, until, you know, which, how far would you have to go to the midpoint? Basically the middle of the crab zone. How far would you have to go to be overbought? That's a real question, right? Probably around 45, which is why I've marked it as a sell point. Even if something happens and we move up, I think we get into overbought around 45, and that's where I would want to sell. And at that point, you'd be looking for this daily to act as a support to continue upward. But right now, I mean, as the saying goes, the trend is your friend until it ends, and it's not ending yet. There's no sign that this is a reversal. It's lost support. I mean, you want to illustrate this very easily. Boom, that's a resistance right now. That's it. That's all you need. That's a fucking resistance right now. The people who are telling you this is a bull market, people who are telling you Bitcoin's going to just recover overnight, a lot of people who want you to believe they're market makers, but they're not. You know, they show you a nice watch, they show you a nice car, or a fancy wedding or a vacation view, and they try to pretend, you know, they're big players. But Bitcoin is billions and billions of dollars market cap. You know, they were buying like $500 million of Bitcoin. Doesn't do shit. These so-called like market maker guru idiots on crypto Twitter, they show you a bull scenario because they want it to go up, because they're underwater, and they are hoping that if they can create like a bullish FOMO, that they can drive market. And that's sort of a denial of reality. That's like very egotistical. You have to just play what the market's giving you, and what the market is giving us is, I mean, it's giving us dog shit, to be honest. Like, the only thing I regret about this whole thing is that I didn't follow my own plan. Like, if I had shorted resistance here, then that would have been amazing, but I didn't do it. So I was doing other things at the time, making other trades. But, you know, we're under the EMA. This is resistance now. Our only promise of some kind of daily support is very flimsy. We can see that the real interest for buying is at weekly support. And last time we came down here, I made the joke that I should remove the word probable from this and call it accumulation bottom. And probably someone thought I was very stupid because we immediately ran up. But as you can see, you know, we had this nice bullish engulfing and everything, so great there. But as you can see, we rejected off of resistance and then put in a lower low, tapped weekly support, and lost this. We're testing this as a resistance. So I stand by what I said. I stand by that we probably need to, how long ago was this? The 21st, you know, oh no, the 8th. So what's that, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I stand by what I said 2 weeks ago. Probably can just cross out this word and assume that you can put some stink bids down here and they will probably get filled. I'm not saying, you know, in the finance world, you can't say the G word, you can't say that anything is guaranteed, but I mean, it looks bad. It is what it is. You can make all the arguments you want for, like, oh, well, bullish divergence, you know, this is going up and this is going down. Okay. But, like, really, you can cut that a lot of ways. You can just look at this and say, no, it matches perfectly. Which is why RSI is a very shady indicator. You see it on every chart I post because I really like it. But the reason I like it is for what I showed you, right? When the market is bullish, top half. When it's bearish, bottom half. Very simple. The only other play I make with this is, yeah, is it oversold? Way the fuck down here? Yes, well, buy it. And it goes up. Is it overbought? In a bear market, that matters. In a bull market, being overbought doesn't fucking matter. Like, there's a lot of situations where RSI doesn't matter. Being oversold in a bear market doesn't matter too much. It matters a bit more. Being overbought in a bull market, it doesn't fucking matter. But just the fact that, I mean, since this crash, you know, this whole time, since this crash, we're spending all of our time down here. Until that changes, until we get some kind of higher low. We haven't got a higher low yet. Not one fucking higher low, right? Until we get a higher low, until we try to retake this midpoint on the RSI, until this EMA gets flipped, I mean, there's not even any hope. There's no case at all. I'm absolutely confused why anyone is trying to make a bullish argument right now. You need to close above this line, right? You need to put in a bottom, at least somewhere around here, because you need to take the support, you need to put in a higher low, and you need to come up and claim that EMA, right? And then, even if you do all of that, you can still get fucked by resistance. Because we've seen there aren't any buys here, but there are still plenty of sells. This wick, this is nothing. We didn't wick up to weekly resistance. We wicked down to weekly support. You know, if we come up here and we, you know, you have like some body close here, but you have like a big wick up to weekly, then yeah, I would say, okay, maybe it's go time. But we have exactly the opposite. We've got this big wick down to weekly support, and it looks bad. You need to come up, you need to get the EMA, you need to get a higher low, you need to get RSI past the midpoint, and you need to blast through this resistance. There's so much bulls have to do, and they're nowhere near doing it. It looks like shit. I mean, as I told one of my friends earlier today, you know, if you put a gun to my head and told me you have to enter a position right now, I would enter a short. I would not enter a high leverage short. You know, you go 5x, you could very well get liquidated. You know, even if you go like 3x, right, you could still get liquidated. So I'm not interested in like opening a short here. Your upside, maybe to weekly support, I'm buffering a little bit, it's me, the law. Yeah. To the moon, if the moon has like set and is on the other side of the world. But your upside to support, 16%. Your downside, if you short and you're wrong, like 20%. So as far as leverage trading goes, you're basically right in the middle here. And that's not where you want to be. You want your downside to be like a few percent and your upside to be very big. So if you're looking for a place to short, you want to see some kind of rejection, like a failed breakout, like maybe you get a big wick and then it just comes back down, something like that. Maybe you come up and touch this sort of EMA area and then reject down. That would be where you want to short. Or if we just blast to this resistance and it looks like it's going to hold, you would want to short up there. But you don't want to be shorting at support, even though it looks like shit. Because every time, you know, yeah, we keep hitting this lower low, but every time you hit this lower low, you're getting this sort of broadening wedge, kind of, not really a broadening wedge, but kind of enough so that it would not be surprising if bulls tried to make some kind of breakout that ended up wicking up here. And in that case, if you're short, you're definitely going to get fucked. So if you're not in a position already, I wouldn't suggest opening one. If you're already in some kind of short, I don't know, like I would just consider the top of the support block to be your negation point. That's where I would eject, either Either here or here should be probably your stop. Don't run to liquidation just like hoping that at some random point it's going to reverse. This is the plan. This has been the plan for weeks. I think I first posted this plan, you know, somewhere around here, and it's completely unchanged. It's totally held up. You know, this is our crab zone, this whole place. I'm actually kind of surprised how well my own plan has held up. But if you extend this crab zone, like, we're just basically testing the bottom of it as a resistance, and it looks really bad. So I'm sticking to shorting altcoins, waiting for ETH to just eat shit off of this support block and head down to 1400. I'm not interested in longing anything right now. For me to be interested in longing, I think I would want to long the next time we hit the weekly support, because as I said, there's buying pressure here. If we come back down to the weekly support, that definitely didn't wipe out all the buying pressure. We're going to get some kind of bounce. It might be a shitty, like, bearish bounce that just retests. You know, it might not be much of anything, but that's definitely a bounce point. And even if we go up a bit here, I don't think this is any longer a good place for a long. So I'd be looking for the weekly support, or if we were to kind of confirm some kind of breakout, I wouldn't mind longing sort of the no man's land, you know, somewhere around here on a confirmed breakout. The 1 week resistance might cause some fight back, but you know, that's neither here nor there. I don't really care about that. Once we break the 1 week resistance, even though this is labeled no trade zone, if you're in a long from really anywhere below, just hold it. There might be all kinds of bullshit here, but if we make it here, we're probably making it here. To be honest, if we break this 1 day resistance level, probably new all-time highs. Just gonna take a while. The question right now is just how low are we going to go for the bottom? I think personally, of course, exactly what I've marked, that we're going to see something in the order of this zone. I did not mean to draw a text box there. Wonderful. Yes, I'm very good at TradingView. I'm very good at Twitch. I'm the best. You know, there's like a point in the middle here where you could look to. There's this kind of like do or die range down here. I don't think we'll get that far. But if you're looking at sort of the top where this weekly is, you've got a wick, you've got a wick, you've got some wicks, you know, a little bit of testing going on here. It's not really a lot. Like, there's no bodies, right? There's no bodies on the floor. You just have these wicks, which shows me that it's pretty weak. Yes, there is some buying pressure there. We have revisited it once. Probably this is enough time for the limit orders to be reloaded. So I think this cleared out a good amount of them. And if we go again, there's going to be less interest. Probably a lot of people will pull their orders off the order books if this daily support confirms itself as a resistance. You can see what we're dealing with, kind of this little zone down here, but that's not much. That's already shown that it can wick straight through and have pretty much no reaction. So not expecting a whole lot from this level, this red. I think even if you wanted to just remove all this shit, right, it's probably not much of anything. We've already shown that we are able and willing to go down and hit this weekly support. So that's my take. That's where I think we're going to go. I think it's a matter of time. We can pretty safely cross out this word probable. It's probably going to be 6 months or so, 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year. I hate to say that, but all the Chinese miners that have to send their equipment overseas, it's going to take time for them to build facilities. It's going to take time for them to get everything operational again. And they're going to Kazakhstan, they're going to North America, They're going to like Iceland, you know, these places where they can get pretty good renewable energy. But the materials they have, they can't even use, right? The materials that they already have cannot be salvaged for new construction because they are not up to building codes in those other countries. The wattage, the materials, for example, having like aluminum parts instead of copper parts for your resistor, what do you call it, transformers, that sort of thing. You can do that in China. You can't do that most other places. So they're going to have to buy new materials, do new construction. Most of the mining places have already taken all their rigs offline. There was a worker today from one of the big boys who was talking about the fact they've been cleaning and boxing their units for transport. Thousands and thousands of pounds of this, like 20,000 units that have already been cleaned and boxed, and they've only shipped like 200 of those so far. So it's going to take a long time for the big mining ops to come back, and that's a lot of market supply that's just not there. So if you're a bull, you can make the case, well, there's scarcity, which helps drive the price up, but you've got to have the demand for that scarcity. And right now, the demand isn't there. We can see that in the chart. We can see that more people are interested in selling than they are in buying. That's why price goes down. And that's why we're getting this turned into a resistance. Hope that was useful. Hope you learned something. And I hope that whatever side of your trades you're on, you're wildly profitable. Unless you're counter trading me, then go fuck yourself. I hope you lose. See you next time. Try to get things more sorted out. Hopefully we can get some requests there and get you some of what you want to see instead of just me rambling. Try to get this more concise, to the point. I'm not crypto cred. I can't shout about Bitcoin's price action in like 30 seconds. But just wanted to get some ideas out and maybe see where we are. Talking it out helps me understand my own feelings about what the market's doing. It's kind of things that you take instinctually that you don't articulate too much, and that can help you when you just articulate them to figure out what you want to do. That's why a lot of people encourage trade journals. So you're basically it. You're my trade journal. Don't know if I'll do this again or how much I'll do it, but we'll see in a week where we are. Maybe in a few days what happens here. Till then, hoping for a lower low, hoping to hit this weekly support. And anyone who's telling you that we're bullish right now, just go ahead and unfollow them. They're fucking useless. They're idiots. Okay, that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, evening, whatever. And best of luck to you.